What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. This is the Humble Lecter, and today we got another Spider-Man figure here to be added into the 60th anniversary. And of course, this is the Iron Spider. So in today's video, what we're going to do is, of course, to check out the figure, of course, go through the accessories, and of course, give you my thoughts and my opinion on it. So yes, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Okay, so we're going to start off here with the packaging, and what I can say about this is, yes, first of all, I'm not a fan of all of this kind of windowless packaging. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get until you open it, and sometimes it may be a bit too late. But looking at it, I mean, it looks pretty alright. This one here is one of the first few that had this kind of windowless packaging. You have your product image on the front and on the side. And going on the back here, you do have a preview of the accessories. And going on to the top here, you do have your Spider-Man logo. And also you have your cartoon artwork here, which does look pretty cool. And now let's just unbox this bad boy up. Alright, so here is the Iron Spider. And before we go any further, let us just check out the accessories. Alright, so when it comes to accessories, we do have two sets of hands. We have the closed fisted hands and also the open twipping hands. And we also have the Iron Spider Waldo legs as well. Alright, and of course back to the figure. And this is a figure that I was actually looking forward to the most out of this whole 60th anniversary. But I gotta admit that this one was the most disappointing for me. So just having a closer look on this, I mean, it looks alright. It looks really, really nice and pretty accurate, I would say, in terms of what they are trying to achieve. Like, this is a shiny figure, as you can see, like, it just shimmers all around here. So you can see, like, it's a iron kind of suit, you know, it's the Iron Spider that we have known from the comic. So it does have a nice shine to it. It looks really good. But again, one thing that's disappointing about this is, first of all, the fact that this one cost the most out of the other Spider-Man figures that we've had from this 60th anniversary. And also you have to keep in mind that it's not really cheap. It's like 220 ringgit, so it's about almost 50 USD, which is a lot of money there. So it's the most expensive, and in terms of accessories, you know, you're not going to get a lot. You do have the Waldo legs here, which does look pretty cool. But you will notice that the color here isn't exactly the same. This one does have a kind of a matte finish, whereas on his bracelet and on his chest, it's more of a shiny shimmer to it. Whereas this one, again, is not the same color, which should have been in that way. So that is one thing that was pretty disappointing. And let me just bring it out over here, as you can see. So you can see, like, that there isn't really much to it. I do like the sculpt on his chest. Like, he does have that nice Iron Spider logo. I do like the butterfly joints here, that it does follow through, and going on to the back as well, it does follow through as well. But again, this one doesn't really help a lot because the Waldo legs, they only rotate at certain angles. So it rotate at the first hinge here. This one here, it doesn't really rotate. So you can see that all three of them, they only have this kind of stuff. So you can only like rotate them and hinge them over here. I did wish that they're given us a little bit more rotation in all sections of it, so you know, you can have a little bit more motion. And if it was a little bit more sturdy, you know, you can pose him in a lot of nice sexy poses. But with this, you know, it's just mainly you're just gonna grab him like this, or maybe just push it out to the side, or just give him a more kind of a battle feel. But if you want to have like a resting feel, like on his claws and he's like just hanging around there, I think that would have been awesome. But it's really hard to do that, and it's cost pretty disappointing. And if you just look at the body, it does have a cleaner finish compared to the stealth suit that we have had, and that one I'm going to give props to it. So overall, I think it's a really good design. They do have the nice accurate ones, and as a comic book collector who have read the Civil War, I think this is still pretty decent. I would say I will still add it to the collection. But again, it's not using the latest body mode that we have seen with the Amazing Fantasy. In terms of that, you don't really have the upper torso kind of swivel. This is just the ab crunch, the normal ab crunch which we have seen with the Spider-Man 2099 white one. So that is pretty disappointing, seeing again that this one is the most expensive out of the other Spider-Man figures. Right, so now let's talk about the articulation on this figure. So in terms of the head movement, it can go all the way up this much and tilt all the way down here as well. Going on to the head hinge, you can kind of swivel it around and you can rotate it as much as you want. Going on to the arms, you can of course go 360 degrees, and you can also just go up this much, which isn't too bad. And of course, you do have your butterfly joints, which you need for every Spider-Man figure. So you can just crunch him all the way backwards this much here, which does look pretty awesome. And you can go in a lot here as well if you just kind of rotate it. So is alright, and it does have a very kind of smooth finish to it. And in terms of the bicep swivel, you do have it here. You do have your double jointed elbows, which this one is blocking here. So you do have double jointed elbows, and in terms of the wrist movement, you have your rotation, and you also do have your hinge up and down as well. Going on to the crunch, you can go forward this much, and you can go forward backwards this much here. And then you do have your waist swivel. You can hear that there's a cracking sound inside, but I do like that the paint does follow through all the way on the torso. And of course, going on to the legs, you can spread out here this much. You do have your upper thigh swivel. You do have your double jointed knees. And also you have your calf rotation, which does go on the bottom here, which is a good addition. And you also do have excellent ankle pivot as well. And measuring out this figure, it does stand in at about the 6-inch mark. And here's it next to two other Spider-Man figures, which I absolutely do love it over here. So we can see that this one does have the newer body mode, which is my underrated figure, and it's next to the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And it's alright here in terms of looks. I think it does pull it off, but in terms of function, it's not really there. And here is it next to the MCU Iron Spider. And one thing that's really interesting is that, first of all, in terms of the length, this one is definitely bigger and easier to stand overall due to the flexibility in this. This is quite hard to stand. But this one here does give it a little bit more kind of rotation overall compared to the newer one. But of course, it's a bit harder to stand, and it is shorter compared to the other one here, the comic accurate version of the Iron Spider. That is it with the Iron Spider figure, and for a rating, I think I'm just going to give this a 5.5 out of 10. I mean, it is a good figure, and I think a lot of people who have read the comics and want to have a proper comic accurate Iron Spider figure, I think this is the closest that you are going to get. I think maybe they could have done better with the Waldo parts, definitely for sure, in terms of the looks and also in terms of the functions as well. As a figure, and of course looking at the price point on this, you know, they could have given us the Amazing Fantasy Buck over here, but instead they have given us the older one, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is quite nice to pose around with. But it is quite slippery, so that's one thing you gotta keep in mind, because a lot of times when I was adjusting it, the legs kept moving it around because it was just really very wobbly when it came to the legs. So that's one thing to consider about this. So rating of a 5.5 I think is pretty fair for this. I think they could have done a little bit better, and they were just like rushing to get this figure out. So guys, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Do leave yours in the comment section down below. Of course, you want to see more of this type of videos, of course, do follow me on my Instagram at the Humble Lecter. So I'll see you guys at the next one.